Do you feel like you don't quite understand how men are ever falling in love if they ever do? Is the confusion leaving you frozen in place, not understanding what you should even be doing? Here's the thing, a lot of what you've heard about how men fall in love is actually untrue, which is why you've been so confused. So, today we'll discuss the five biggest lies about how men fall in love so that you can know exactly how to get the man you want. Welcome to the Players Club. If you're here and present and paying attention to me and everyone else in the live stream, please say here or present so that I know you're actively participating. Welcome to all of you beautiful souls. It's great to see you on this beautiful Tuesday. What is it? What is today? Today's Wednesday for me. It's Wednesday afternoon for me. It may be whatever time it is in the world for you, but still, it is good to see you. Okay. Uh, Teddy says Tommy has refused to be on time the last few days. You're right. You know what? I can't even make excuses anymore. You're right. You're right. You're right. But today was, I think, better at least. Wasn't as late as yesterday. But welcome all you beautiful souls. It's good to see you guys. It's good to see you guys here. I'm always fiddling with stuff. So in the process of me fiddling with stuff, trying to make it as improve something just a little bit, I always get carried away and then it makes me late. So sorry about that. Welcome all of you beautiful souls. Okay, so let's get started. So this is actually a topic I'm very passionate about. So be aware. I'm probably going to rant on this, okay? Because this is something I've thought about a lot. Everything that we talk about, I've thought about a lot. But this specifically has been something on my mind that I want to discuss with you. So let's start with looks, okay? One of the biggest misconceptions about men and how they fall in love is that everything is predicated on looks. And how you look is going to determine how he feels about you, if he wants you, if he wants to be with you. Your entire source of value is just about your looks. This is upsetting to me because I know this is untrue. I also don't like that this is being spread to you, that you go in with the mindset that, oh, if I don't look as good as her, I don't deserve the same quality of men. If I don't look as good as her, I'm not capable of having a man wrapped around my finger. If I don't look as good as her, it won't be possible for me to be able to have men do anything for me, crawl on grass and sniff my butthole like all these other girls have these guys worshiping them. And the reason that makes me mad, makes me angry, gets me tight is because it really has nothing to do with that. You're not going to make a man fall in love with you, and he's not going to be interested in you simply because of your looks. Now, I don't be capping on this show, and I don't be trying to tell you guys some stuff that's untrue. I'm going to do my best to tell you how it really is in the real world. So what I mean by that is I will not come out here and tell you that men don't care about looks. That's not what this show is about. That's a big lie. That's not what I'm saying, okay? I'm not telling you that men don't care about looks. Men care about looks. It matters to them. However, that's not how they fall in love with you. Okay? Looks is like a gateway drug, okay? Because it is what allows him to even allow himself to begin the process of falling in love with you. What do I mean by that? For example, if I see you, let's just say at a work event, I don't want to use party. Let's just say it's a work event. Okay. So both of you guys are there for work and he sees you. He's like, oh my goodness, she doesn't work in my building, but this is like a whole big staff party for all the different units around the city. And, she's not, going to be in my workplace, but who is that? And he just walks up to you. He's like, sorry, I just had to get to know who you are. I've never seen you around before. And you're just absolutely stunning. Okay. And let's say you guys go on a couple dates, you get to know each other more. You guys realize you guys share some stuff in common. Maybe you both like skiing. You go on a couple ski trips, bada bing, bada boom. You guys are in a full blown relationship. Now, you were a great person. You were a great personality. You had a great character traits. You were just waiting to be discovered. You were like a diamond in the rough. However, he didn't know that. So he didn't care about that until he saw your viciously voluptuous dump truck. Okay? He didn't know or care about that until he saw your viciously voluptuous yitties. He didn't know or care about that until he saw your viciously amazing supermodel smile. Okay? Now, that's not to make you feel bad that, oh, guys only care about looks. I just want you to understand that before he got to know you and know how amazing you are and understand you better and see all the amazing aspects of who you are, the first thing that led him to be open to getting to know you and all those amazing qualities about you is his physical attraction to you. And so one of the biggest lies as it relates to looks is that people think that looks is what makes them fall in love with you. Looks is not what makes them fall in love with you. Looks is what makes them open to falling in love with you, but how they actually fall in love with you is all up here. It's all in the mind, in the emotions, in the feelings, in the spiritual, in the things you can't touch, see, or feel physically. Okay? And the reason I bring it up is because while looks are important, I want the focus to be on the right place. And at the Players Club, we always talk about the emotional side of things. Other people might focus on different aspects of relationships. That's perfectly fine. I'm also not a relationship guru. I'm just a regular human being. And the only gift I've been blessed with is the ability to articulate myself and some emotional intelligence to be able to talk to you about what men are thinking, even though they maybe can't describe it themselves. But I can assure you, while your looks are important and it's good to take care of yourself and all that good stuff, I don't want you to get the wrong idea that looks is what keeps your man interested and in love with you, or is what's going to even make him fall in love with you in the first place. Okay? Because remember, I talked to you guys before, the best way to get someone attached to you to the point where they fall in love with you is by getting them to emotionally invest in you. Now, I know some people like maybe Shira or some others might say the best way to get a man to invest in you is by getting him to invest his money and take out his wallet. I'm not here to refute that. Who am I? I'm just a single human being on this earth. Maybe she's right and I'm wrong. But what I will say is I always think that emotional investment is always more painful to let go of as it relates to a relationship or a person than money will ever be. You can only be so attached to your money and your wallet, right? It's very hard to detach yourself from your emotions and your feelings and your thoughts and opinions and perspective because you're a human being. You're literally created with those, okay? And so that's why I always try to help you guys focus your mind on how you can get him emotionally invested. What are the trigger points for men, and what are the things that elicit particular responses from them through the mind, through the feelings, through the actions that you do, the words that you say, the way that you present yourself, all of these things happening on a subconscious level to him that he doesn't even have control over the response that he ends up giving you after you trigger those particular points. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. TNC asked off topic, but are you still doing fasting? Well, I'm not fasting right now, but currently, for every day for like the past 3-4 months, I just eat one meal a day. I don't really eat more than one meal in a day. I eat a big meal, but just one meal. That's like a side note. Okay. So is that making sense to you guys so far? Or am I like out there? You guys are like, wait, what? I thought it was all about looks. I thought it was all about my dump truck. This doesn't make any sense. Okay, I want to make sure that we're all still on the same page. Okay, right? Looks, while important, looks are a gateway to get them to eventually be open to being invested in you truly. So now, what I will say as it relates to this being a lie and a misconception, I do still want you to understand the better you take care of yourself, the more, remember, I know we're talking about what men find attractive, what men are into, all that good stuff. I also still don't want you to get the wrong idea as if your entire world has to be about what men want. I just want you to understand what they desire and find attractive. But in reality, everything that they find attractive in you is about the things that you can do to invest in yourself. That's kind of just where I want to merge that world and that understanding. So those of you that want to figure out how to make guys get guys tied around your finger and to get guys to treat you all the ways that you want to be treated, it's really all about investing more into yourself, because they find the girls and the women who are investing the most into themselves the most attractive. Okay? The girls who are desperate and needy for them, those are the girls they find the least attractive. So subsequently, and oddly enough, the more likable you try to become, the less likable and attractive you actually are to the men, which is why everything we talk about is really about investing more into yourself, as ironic as that may be. Okay? And the looks matter in terms of allowing him to be open to getting to know you. They're not everything, though. They also won't keep him there or keep him emotionally invested in you. But if you work on your looks, if you take care of yourself, and taking care of yourself doesn't mean that you got to dress like everyone else. You could be a hygienic, attractive emo girl. You could be a hygienic, attractive skater girl. You could be a hygienic, attractive gym girly. You could be you know what I mean? Like, you can be attractive while still keeping true to yourself and your aesthetic and who you are. And you don't have to be beholden to however the mainstream style is. You don't got to dress like everyone. Like, you can still be you and take care of yourself, be attractive. And then the fact that you take care of yourself and invest in yourself that way is what is what allows the men that meet you or come across you to be open to getting to know all this amazing awesomeness about your personality. Okay, that's just how we rock as human beings, right? That's what's gonna make us open to it. So first we have looks here. Secondly, we have that love is all transactional. I want to touch on this, and I want you to listen very closely. If you've been half asleep so far, this is the part where I want you to pay attention. I want us to come to an understanding, because I know that when you hear me talking, and you hear me talk about what men think, how they respond to things, what it is that they want, what it is that they find attractive, it can feel very, what's the word I'm looking for? It can feel a lot less magical and a lot less fantastical when I break it down on a very granular level. Okay? Because it kind of just feels like, well, they just want these specific things from me. And so if I do these specific things, then I receive this from them. But then that feels a lot like a transaction. It doesn't feel like true, genuine love. This is where we're going to have a conversation. I want us to come to an understanding about what true, genuine love is. Not because true, genuine love doesn't exist, but I want us to reconsider what our idea of true and genuine really is as it relates to love. What I mean by that is, I want you to ask yourself, the people in my life that I've had as romantic partners, did I choose those people because of how I serve them? Or did I first choose those people because, or that man in this case, because of how he serves me? Now, I know for some of you, your first, and I actually want you guys to answer this. I want you guys to answer. In your relationships, in your romantic relationships, do you think you chose that person because of how you serve them? Or do you think you chose that person because of how they serve you? Excuse me. Okay. Now, I know natural to some of you, you might the first thing that might come to your mind is, well, I chose that person because of how I serve them. It's really about them. I did things for them, and that's why I loved that person. Okay. Lenny says how I served them. Okay. Once Upon a Time says, second one, this is good. I like this. Deja says how they showed up. I didn't receive much from anyone. Donette says they serve me, how they serve me. Okay, Kish says how I can serve. BJ says how they serve me, how they made me feel. Okay, this is very good. I'm glad I asked this question to get your opinions, and I want each and every one of you to pour in your opinions still. The reason I asked this question is because this is something that I know a lot of us want to believe, that I am in love with you or fell in love with you or built a relationship with you because of how I serve you, because I'm such a generous, kind, giving person that it's more about what I can do for you than it is about what you can do for me. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say you're wrong about what you think or how you feel, okay? All I'm going to do is ask you a couple of questions. How come you don't love the random stranger on the street the same way you love that person that you're thinking about? How come you don't love every single human being that walks by you the same intensity and passion that you love your romantic partners? Okay, Bethy said something great. She said, because I don't know them. Okay, well, then that should tell you, if you not knowing someone affects your ability to love that person, but you have the feeling that you love people because of how you can serve them, well, isn't it true that you can serve anyone, anywhere, at any time? Why is the love or your ability to love people based on whether or not you know them, if it's really about your ability to serve them? If it's really about how generous you are in the love that you give, why don't you just love everyone as passionately as you do your romantic partner? The reason I ask that question is because it might help reframe your idea of what true and genuine love is. Because if you start thinking to yourself, well, I don't love every stranger on the street, and because I don't know them, I'm not invested in them, well, then that should tell you that if your version of love, if your ability to love someone is based on your bond with them or your connection with them, then that should mean they're doing something for you in that connection, in that bond. That connection that you have and share with that person is doing something for you, which is why you love that person. Okay? Right? Because you're not invested in people that you don't know. Why? Because those people can't do anything for you. Why would you be invested in them? If it was really about what you can do for other people, you would be invested in everyone the same exact way. And so I don't say this to say, oh, you're a selfish person, you're a bad person, we're all bad people, the world is bad. I just say that to reframe your understanding of what it actually means to be in love or to have true, genuine love. Because I know for some of us, when we think specifically about men and how men love, we think, oh, this is so transactional. Thompson, I hear you talk about what men want and how they think, and it just sounds like they're not even really here for the true and genuine love. When in reality, two things can be true. The love that they give you can be true and genuine, and they can actually mean it, but it can also be based on, first, how you served them. So if you're an attractive woman, if you respect yourself and you don't go the places where the lower quality women are going, if you set boundaries, right? If you act and sound and speak and walk and talk like a wife, right? If you're emotionally intelligent, all of those things serve him. In return for the ways that you serve him, he then returns the favor by serving you in the ways that work best for you. That's in a long-term relationship that actually works. Now, in relationships that don't work, there's an imbalance there. But in the relationships that do work, there's a meshing of how you serve me, right? First, which is what I want. And then also, I serve you in the ways that you want and desire. And together, we serve each other in ways that make ourselves happy. Okay? And so that's why it's one of the biggest lies as it relates to how men fall in love. Because a lot of us are thinking, oh, the process of men falling in love is very, very transactional to the point where it's not even real or true love. When in reality, it can still be real and true love, even though there are requirements in order for men to want or desire to even fall in love with you in the first place, right? Just because there are prerequisites to men being interested in you or wanting to be in a relationship with you, that doesn't mean that it's any less genuine when they're actually invested in you. I can promise you that. Okay? Because when you're in love with someone, you're in love with them. It's not, it stops becoming, it stops feeling as transactional when you're actually having those feelings and that obsession with that single human being. Okay? Is that making sense to you guys so far? I know this is one that some of you might disagree with, and some of you, and even when I talk about it, some of you might be like, I don't know about that one. But it's something I want you to ponder on and think about, okay? Because the transactional element can make a lot of you feel very sad and depressed about love and relationships and feel like, oh, well, it's all about what I can do for him and it's all about this and that, da, 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 da. And then you feel like you can't ever grow a real relationship, or you grow a resentment towards men because you feel like they're all just seeking the same thing and they all want the same things out of you. When in reality, that's not necessarily a bad thing, that there are prerequisites to their ability to be attracted to you or fall in love with you. Because it's the same thing for you. It just might be slightly different, but it's the same thing for you. Okay? If I'm in a relationship, and then this is the thing. When I say transactional, a lot of people are thinking, oh, okay, so the men want Squirtle, and then the girls, all they want is money. And that's the transaction. When in reality, the transactional element is a lot more than just money and Squirtle, right? There can be a transactional element in the relationship as it relates to the energy you exchange. There can be a transactional relationship as it relates to the emotions you exchange, how you support each other, what you do for each other spiritually, right? How you lift each other up. How you keep each other motivated and inspired. These are all things that you're doing to serve your partner in different ways and them to serve you in different ways. That's much more than just the transactional element of, oh, you get Squirtle and in return I get money. Okay, because that's the simple thing that everyone thinks of when they think, oh, love is so transactional, this and that. When in reality, if I'm with a partner who's emotionally intelligent, that serves me. Why? Because now I can communicate my feelings in a way that's understood. Now I can have conflict resolution because when I communicate my feelings, things get adjusted, things get fixed. Now, when you have a problem with me, I can understand exactly what your problem is. I can digest it and adjust myself so we have a better relationship. All of that serves me. Even though it feels like, well, emotionally intelligence, how does that really serve me? That's not really about me. That's about them. It serves you to be with the partner who's emotionally intelligent. You get what I'm saying? And I just want you to have your mind on that, right? And the fact that it's okay, it is okay that you love the people who serve you the best, right? Or you end up in relationships with people that serve you some way, shape, or form, even in a negative fashion, okay? Because for some of you, you're probably thinking, well, I gave my all to this guy and all he did was neglect me, treat me horrible, treat me like garbage. So it really wasn't him serving me at all. It was me serving him 24/7. And all I did was do stuff for him on my hands and knees, crawl on my hands and knees and beg for his attention and validation. And he didn't do anything for me. In fact, he treated me like garbage. And so how did he serve me? Well, here's the thing. For some of you, even in a relationship that didn't work out or where you were mistreated, for some of you, even the aspect of being in a relationship that you can obsess over, spend all your time, attention, and energy on, serves you. Why? Because when you don't have that person or that relationship to spend all your time and energy on, you feel quite bored with life. You feel like life is quite uninteresting, which is why some of you end up staying in a toxic relationship longer than you need to, or might still be in one. even though you know it's not working out, and even though you know it's not where you should be, because you actually get something from having a relationship that you can concentrate all your energy on, that you can run around figuring out all the different Scooby-Doo clues. Oh my God, who is he DMing today? What pictures is he liking today? I see he's liked this girl's picture, and I think one time they met each other at a party. Oh, is that the same wine glass in the back of the picture? Oh, he must be at the same places or at the same. Some of you actually enjoy that process. Even though you might say you hate it, you enjoy the aspect of being able to be so invested in something that takes up so much of your time and energy and brain power. And the moment you're not in that, all you have is time to just sit back and be like, yeah, I mean, I don't really have any leads or clues to chase around. There's no back and forth, no arguing to do today. I don't have to figure out which girl he's trying to talk to. I'm just kind of single. This is kind of boring, right? And as you believe that you're kind of bored, you cross those wires, and then you actually turn that into, I must miss him because I'm bored, when in actuality, you're just bored of the fact that you're not able to be as invested or energetically focused on one person or one thing or one relationship, which is why, side note, of course, this is why I always tell you guys that you should make sure you're doing things for yourself and that you're passionate about and that make you feel fulfilled, that whenever you let go of the toxic people in your life, you're not sitting up by your bedside like, oh my God, I'm so bored. I just can't, I need to do something, right? You actually have things that you're invested in that you can focus your brain power on, and that so that you can properly detach from the relationship or the situationship that you were in. Okay, so number one was looks. Number two was being transactional. Does that make sense to you guys so far? I want to make sure we're all on the same page before I go to number three. Okay. Vicky asks, is it the same for men? Are you talking about in terms of being transactional? What are you asking for? Same for men specifically? Okay. Right. A seasoned serial dater will not blink at losing you because they have 10 more on standby. Aqua, that's true, but I also want you to understand, and this is where I don't want you guys to become confused as well. I don't want you guys to think that when I say, put your time and energy into other things and focus on other things, that I'm talking about focusing on other people, and that you should date 10 people at a time, and then, have 100 boyfriends. That way it never matters to you if you miss one boyfriend or one of them drops out or treats you badly. That's actually, I wouldn't recommend that. If you wanted my advice, I wouldn't recommend you go about life like that. Okay, simply because you're juggling too many people and too many relationships that you'll never be able to properly invest in any of those people. What I would advise you to do is that instead of focusing that time and energy on more men, okay, it's ridiculous. Focus that time and energy on yourself and investing it into yourself. I know that's the number one thing that you guys are scared of, is actually having to focus all your time and energy on yourself, because that's quite boring and you're probably going to have to face your fears on a couple of things. But in reality, that's the best way to utilize your time, not dating 10 people in a row, not having 100 boyfriends that you don't care if one drops out. It's by actually investing your time and energy into yourself and the things that you care about, and allowing the process of being able to find the people that you're looking for and the relationship that you're looking for. And in the process of dating people, if they aren't that, you're easily able to detach yourself from those people because you're already whole. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. Right. To haze out, sorry, Moon says, I've always kept myself busy. I've learned how to surf, travel, explore, gym, coffee shops, movie, YouTube. Now started a job search. Good. That's good. That's part of what you need to be doing in order to have the best relationship, because you're actually not going to have the best version of a relationship when you're in a position where you're desperate to make anyone the person that you're in a relationship with. Okay. So, number one was looks. Number two was SA said new lip balm. How do you guys notice that? It is so small. I'm so surprised you guys actually noticed that. Yeah, this is a slightly different, it's still Aquaphor. It's a slightly different one though. It squeezes out the liquid instead of being in a chapstick form. I like this one better. Okay. So looks, number 1, transactional, number 2, number 3, number 3 is peace. Okay, let's have a conversation about peace. Because I don't know how many times I've heard guys say, and I've said it myself, I'm not better than anyone. All I want is peace. The only thing I care about is having peace and quiet in my relationship. I just want a girl that will bring me peace, be my peace. Now, I'm not going to tell you that that's untrue, because it is partially true. But I want you to understand that men aren't falling in love with peace. Okay? And the misconception and the lie you've been told is that peace equals being quiet, right? Being submissive is just not having opinions, not speaking up, just allow everything to pass, that you will be as easygoing and easy to get along with as possible. Truthfully and honestly, men aren't head over heels in love with the girls that are constantly focused on how to be the most agreeable, okay? Don't get yourself confused that you think your ability to be more agreeable will make it easier for men to fall in love with you. It will not. Okay? I'm telling you this from a man's perspective. So if you're going on dates, for example, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, everything I say and do, I want to make sure I don't argue with him. I don't disagree with him. Anything that he says, I just want to make sure I just say, yes, oh, everything is correct, da, 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 right? And if he asks for my opinion, I just want to give an opinion that's just like his. And I don't ever want him to think that I don't agree with anything that he says or he does. That way he thinks like I'm completely peaceful. I'm not like any of these other girls who complains or has opinions or anything like that. You're making a mistake, because you're going into a relationship with the mindset that you are trying to be as likable as possible. And the problem with when you go into relationships trying to be as likable as possible is you feel like you constantly need to do things in order to be more likable. The reality of it is, the more you do in order to be more likable, the more people actually receive you as being desperate for their validation. Imagine me, I came up to you on the street and I'm like, look, I'm juggling 10 balls in a row while I set myself on fire. Don't you love me so much? Don't you appreciate how I'm juggling 10 balls? I did this all for you. It took me 5 years to learn how to juggle 10 balls in a row while I set myself on fire. I'm like pouring lighter fluid on myself. I'm juggling 10 balls in a row while I set myself on fire. And it took me 10 years to learn this trick just so I can impress you. Aren't you impressed that I'm juggling 10 balls in a row? Isn't this so amazing? Don't you love me so much more? The fact that I put in all this effort for you to do all this stuff for you and to make you like me. Don't you like me anymore? Don't you? Can you tell me that you love me? Please tell me that you love me. I spent so much time juggling these balls. And you'd be like, brother, like, take a chill pill. Like, you're embarrassing yourself, and you're actually so embarrassing it's rubbing off on me. And everyone on the street is staring at us. Please stop juggling 10 balls and pouring lighter fluid on yourself. This is really humiliating for me. Like, please stop. I'm begging you to please stop. And I'm like, no, but please. It took me 10 years to learn this. I just wish that you could see how much I care about you and how much I want you to know that I like you and I love you and I want to be in a relationship with you. And I'm lighting myself on fire. I have 8-degree burns right now. I don't know what to do with myself. Can you tell me that you love me? I give you that example because I want you to understand how trying to be more likable, more peaceful, right? Make him more at ease, that he doesn't have to think about anything, right? Is not actually how he's going to like you or fall in love with you more. And that lie, that misconception is what's going to force you to come into a relationship thinking about how you can do more to be more likable. Okay? And we'll actually talk specifically about being likable in a bit. But as it relates to peace, I want you to understand being peaceful and quiet, where you don't say anything and you don't talk and you don't have opinions and you're just like an empty shell that will be whatever he wants you to be because you want so badly to be peaceful. Men aren't falling in love with that. Okay? What they see when they see that all you want to do is be peaceful, quiet, not speak up a word, not speak your opinion about anything. All they see is how much they can take advantage of you. Okay? So don't come into relationships or talking stages thinking about how you can be the most peaceful, agreeable person on this planet Earth. Because in reality, it's not going to make you any more interesting or likable, and it's not going to make him want to fall in love with you anymore. It's also not going to help him see you as an individual. And truthfully and honestly, men are falling in love and want to make a wife out of a woman who they see as a whole individual, not a woman who they see as an empty shell, only focused on giving him the maximum amount of peace that she's so scared to speak up for any of her opinions or thoughts or perspectives, that she's scared to set boundaries, right? This is the other thing. A lot of times when you guys become so obsessed with peace, thinking that, oh, but the men all want peace, that you also don't even do the job of speaking up for yourself when he disrespects you, when he crosses your boundary, when he mistreats you, because you're so focused on, well, I want to be as peaceful as possible, that he won't not like me. I want to be as peaceful as possible because that's how he's going to fall in love with me. I want to be as peaceful as possible because that's what's going to make me the most desired. No. That's not going to make you the most desirable by not speaking up for yourself. Not speaking up for yourself is only going to make you look like an empty shell of a human that he can treat however he wants with no consequences. Okay? And the more you look like an empty shell and the less you look like an individual, the less men will be interested in you and the less they'll have feelings for you. Because truthfully, they want to respect the women that they actually desire and want. They don't want to have no respect for you, but it'll be very hard to have respect for you when you don't even present yourself as having respect for yourself. Don't be so obsessed with the idea that men want peace that you don't ever speak up for yourself, stand up for yourself, let him know where he messed up, what he needs to be doing better, right? Just because you want to be the most peaceful person on this planet Earth, just because you want him to see you as one of those peaceful women that all the guys talk about. Newsflash to you and all of you others, right? Newsflash to you that there's a lot of things, we all do this, but there's a lot of things men say that they want. In reality, when they get those things, they don't respond to them in the way that they said they would respond. Okay. And in reality, a lot of times the thing that they say they dislike or that they don't want is the thing that they respond the most positively to. Ironically. Okay. They say they don't want girls who will act all big-headed, like they don't have time for them or they're too busy, right? They want a girl who will just tell them straight up that they like them and not play around and not mess around and all that stuff that they can just know exactly how the girl feels. In reality, they don't respond positively to the girls who are just blunt and straightforward and to say exactly how they feel all the time. Oh, I have feelings for you. I want you. I want to be with you. They don't respond positively to that. What ends up happening is they pull away from those girls and they don't like those girls as much, and they damn sure don't chase after those girls. And then the girls that do the thing, right? They are like they're aloof, they're so busy, they never hang out, they never text back, they never call back, they never pay attention, right? They're never there, they're never present. Those are the girls who they're vigorously and viciously chasing after like a hungry hyena. Even though they say they want peace, even though they say they want a girl who will just be straightforward and make it easy. It's cap. Okay? It's cap. I'll be the first one to tell you. It's cap. It's a lie. It's a lie. Okay? It's a lie. Does that make sense to you guys so far? Okay? Right? Teddy said, bring chaos, ladies. That's what they like. Be as chaotic as you can. See, that's the thing is, first of all, balance. Okay. But you can be slightly chaotic without doing much. This is the beautiful part about joining the Players Club. And when we have these conversations, like you can elicit emotions out of people that would only be elicited in a toxic relationship that was really intense without actually being that much of a toxic person, right? Like you can do less and get so much more out of it. What I mean by that is you can bring chaos by simply not texting him or calling him back because you're busy doing other things. And it has the same effect, the same chaotic effect, but you're not actually going out of your way to do more things, right? You're just doing less, but the effect is the same. Okay, so keep that in mind. Kachan said so true. My elder sister is the same. Stay silent all the time, even if it includes accuse. I'll say. I don't want to say that word. I don't know if I can say it on TikTok. TikTok's still stingy. Okay. Right? Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you guys so far? And someone says, what if we desire peace as well? That's perfectly fine. You want to know what's the most peaceful thing on this earth? Getting exactly what you want from someone that you don't have to tell them what to do. Which is why we're here. You're learning the ins and outs of how men think and how they operate and how they approach relationships, that you can get exactly what you want out of them, and you don't even have to tell them what they should be doing. You just sit back, you relax, and you receive everything that you want. Do you know how peaceful that is? That's a very peaceful life. And the craziest part is when you're in that mode, they'll be happy to do those things for you. It's not even like you're actually forcing them to do it. So you get what you want, how you want, when you want it, and they're happy to give it to you. That's a very peaceful life. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm confused. Okay? But I would think that's a very peaceful life. Okay? So number one was looks, and number two was transactional, and number three, we talked about peace. Number four, I kind of talked about a little bit earlier, but I want to mention it again now, is being likable. And this lie that being the most likable girl will make men be more interested in you and fall in love with you more. Okay. I tell you the truth. Men like mean girls. Okay? I'm just going to tell you how it really is, so we are not confused. Men like mean girls in reality. They don't like nice girls. They don't like likable girls. Okay? We don't. It's boring. Okay? We like mean girls. Now, you don't have to change who you are or like actually be rude and obnoxious. But what I mean by we like mean girls is, no, you need to understand that the essence of a man when he desires a woman is that I want to prove myself to you. I want to be forced to work for this. I want to be forced to put my best foot forward in order to get access to you. Like, I really mean they actually want that. Right? They want the fact that they can't just show up as they are and you're accepting of them because they're so amazing that they don't need to do any work for you. This is another one of those things that the men say. They might say that, oh, I want it to just be easy where I just show up and, we just accept each other and we love each other and it's all so easy. Truthfully and honestly, they don't want it to be easy. The essence of the man is that he wants to be desiring you. He wants to be hungry for you. He wants to be thirsty for you. He needs to feel like it's an itch he must scratch to get access to you. Okay? Now, the reason I say that is because that can only happen if you're a little bit mean or a lot of bit mean. That he feels there's an ongoing process to softening you up, to working on you, to getting you interested in him, right? And he actually has to do more and say more and be creative and come up with ideas and put his best foot forward in order for him to have you be interested in him. The problem is, I know a lot of you hear from other men and even some girls, that being as likable as possible, kind of like being peaceful, right? Being as likable as possible, where you don't argue, you don't talk back, you're just super submissive. Being submissive is just not talking back, not having an opinion or anything like that, right? And just try your best to be so likable by only talking about what he likes, only doing what he wants, only acting how he wants, only approaching things how he wants. Listen to everything he says he wants you to do and do exactly that, exactly how he says to do it. And like I just mentioned to you guys before with the juggling balls example, people only see that as desperation when you put so much work into trying to be likable. Nobody actually appreciates that. Especially the men. We only see it as someone who's desperate for validation, which is why you're trying so hard to be likable. And actually, ironically, the more mean you are, the more attractive it is, because it seems like you're not interested in my validation. It seems like you're not even interested in me. So what does that make me feel emotionally? It makes me feel like I'm shooting up in terms of trying to get access to you, right? Like you're above my level. Like in order for me to get on your level, I got to work for it. I got to do more things. Okay? I got to put my best foot forward or else I'll never be on your level, which is why you're disinterested in me. And like with anything that we talk about, obviously there's a balance to that. You don't want the guys that you're interested in to think that you don't like them at all. But you definitely want to be mean enough that they feel like, damn, I'm not getting much from her, but you know, she's allowing this to continue. So maybe I could soften her up just a little bit, right? And you want to keep him hungry, keep him on the hunt for you, right? Missy America says, well, if we want to turn a guy away, just do the opposite of what Tomisin says, right? It's true. It's true. The more you try to be likable, the less people will like you because it screams insecurity, and vice versa. The less likable you try to become to people and the meaner you are to people, it actually in the weirdest way, it communicates to them that you're secure in yourself, which is why you're not concerned with being the most likable. That you're whole within yourself, that you don't need someone to tell you that they like you or appreciate you or want to be with you because you want to be with yourself. You like yourself. It doesn't matter to you what other people say or what they think. And that confidence is attractive to men. Being likable is not very attractive because it doesn't trying so hard to be likable is not very attractive to men because it doesn't scream confidence. It actually screams that I am trying to be likable so that you can like me, be interested in me, and want me because I know how much I want you, and it would be so beneficial for me and so amazing for me if you could bestow me with your honor and with your presence, and be by my side and be interested in me as well. Right? LK says your speech made me understand why so let me go up. She said your speech, where'd it go? Anyways. Ivy says there was one guy I actually told to get out of my house and he kept trying to see me. I didn't like him though. See, that's the thing. Right? As we have these discussions, I think some of you guys are putting it together that the way you treated the guys that you didn't like is exactly how you should be treating the guys that you do like, because that's how you're going to get the result from the same result from the guys that you were not interested in, because the guys that you weren't interested in were oddly enough the guys that were the most interested in you, and vice versa. The guys that you were the most interested in were oddly enough the guys the least interested in you. Okay. Right? Teddy said, don't be too relaxed. I enjoy talking to you guys. It's like therapy for me as well. Okay. Bethy in the TikTok chat said, I'll remember that for the next guy I meet. For those of you who are single, this is great things to be understanding and to be thinking about when you're going into your relationships, because it will drastically help you get to the result that you want. Okay. So number 1, we had the looks. Number 2, we had being transactional. Number 3 was about peace. Number 4, we don't want you or need you to be as likable as possible. Now, number 5, we're going to discuss the fantasy. Okay. This is going to be a tough one to break down in a way that is digestible. See, what you have misunderstood about fantasies and why men have a side girl or things like that, right? See, the thing is, sometimes when I'm talking about fantasy, I'm talking about like KINKS's, things like that. Deep dark fantasies, all those type of things. The misconception has been that fantasies are more of a function of men's lower extremities rather than a deeper, darker desire. I want you to understand that fantasies actually play an emotional role in a man's ability to fall in love. I know that this sounds weird, and I know that it sounds very strange because you're thinking, well, no, it's really just about getting himself off. It's really just about his ability to whack himself off. It really has nothing to do with anything emotional. When it comes to fantasies, it's not just as simple as relieving yourself. And it's not just as simple as getting a release. The fantasy element of how men are actually falling in love is about the desire to fulfill whatever void was missing in their childhood or developed over time in their adolescence or just in the process of them growing up. And each person's fantasy, or KINKS, is really a combination of who they are, and it's much like a fingerprint. I know that where I'm going with this just sounds like it makes no sense. Just try and stay with me. Tell me in the chat if you're staying with me so far. It's like a fingerprint. And when you understand how to satisfy those fantasy elements to a relationship and to a man, you can actually get to a place very special where you see, because remember, I told you guys, it's all about getting him to be as emotionally invested in you as possible. And the more you can fulfill or represent that fantasy element, whatever his deepest, darkest fantasies are, the more attached to you that man will be, and the harder it will be to let go of you. Because once you fulfill those fantasy elements in his mind, in his desires, he begins to associate you with the fulfillment of his deepest, darkest feelings and emotions and thoughts. Now, I want you to understand, you don't have to necessarily only fulfill that fantasy element through your hands and mouth and Squirtle. It can actually even be emotional. This is why it's so important for you to be understanding of the men that you're dating. I didn't say you have to jump right into pineapples, but it's good to be understanding of what those, especially when you're growing a real deep relationship, to be understanding of what his deepest, darkest fantasies and KINKSs are. Because two things. First of all, they'll help you get a much deeper understanding of who he is, what he's about, and how to push his buttons, so to speak. Okay? The better you are at understanding that information about him, the easier it will be to control him. And the more invested, and secondly, the more invested in you he will be for sharing those parts of himself with you. This is why I feel like it's one of the biggest lies, because I feel like the focus is in the wrong place. When people think of fantasy, they think of just the satisfaction of the lower extremities. They don't think about the deep, dark desire. They don't think about how the KINKS links back to what it is that they're actually seeking. Why is it that they find that thing so interesting or so consuming? Why is it that they spend so much time thinking about that thing? And so you'll realize something very interesting, and let me know if this has ever happened to you in the chat. You'll realize something very interesting when you start learning the deeper, darker fantasies of the men that you're dating, you'll start realizing that, first of all, that you understand them on a level that you didn't think that you would understand them on before. But as you get to know them, you'll start realizing that there's a connection between how they grew up, the experiences that they've had, and the fantasies or KINKSs that they currently have now as an adult, when you're really listening and really paying attention. And so in the process of learning that, you'll realize that part of the reason they have these specific KINKSs or fantasies is to fill some sort of void they've had in their life, or satisfy some sort of void, or recreate some sort of experience they've had in their life. And so when you understand it like that, you begin to understand that the fulfilling the fantasy element is not just about the lower extremities. It's about fulfilling a void within his mind that's existed throughout his entire life, that grows his attachment and investment to you, because then you become the representation of the filling of that void. And it becomes a lot harder to let go of you, i.e., I fall in love with you, right? I become truly and the most invested in you that I ever can be, because of my attachment to the fact that you fulfilled a void within me that has existed throughout my entire life, or throughout my experiences in life, that now I can't let go of the fact that you are the representation of filling that void. You now have been the person to do that. And so my attachment to you is like no other. I can't let you go. And my investment in you emotionally is a lot stronger. Are you guys following me so far? Right? Deja says, so how do we do it? See, here's the thing. Like I said, you don't have to do it with your hands, mouth, or your Squirtle. You can begin asking questions to understand what he's into, right? I can't get so deep into it because we're obviously on TikTok, right? Right? And understanding what he's into. In the process of understanding what he's into, I would advise you to ask him the type of pineapple videos he watches, right? You don't have to jump right into Squirtle. You don't have to jump right into pineapples, but these are the type of things, as you're growing the relationship and it's getting deeper, you can gain a deeper and deeper understanding of. And not just an understanding of what it is his fantasies are, but an understanding of why those fantasies are those fantasies. Okay? If you've ever stepped into this world and you've ever gotten this deep with someone, you'll realize there's a whole world to discover here. And for those of you who have never gone this deep with any one individual, you have no idea what percentage of a human being you're missing when you don't dive this deep into a human being. Because there is so much happening underneath the surface when you start understanding not just the what it is they fantasize about, but the understanding of why it is they fantasize about those things. You will begin to be able to link those fantasies to their everyday actions and responses. You'll begin to link those fantasies and those thoughts and those emotions to how they approach your relationship. Remember, I always tell you guys, how you do life is how you do relationships, right? You'll begin to gain an understanding of why they react and respond to you in particular ways. Okay? Right? I'll give you an example from my own life. I tend to attract women that enjoy having a daddy. Okay, let's just say it like that. It took me a while to understand why that's the case. And it took me until asking the questions about fantasies, KINKSs, really diving deep, not just to the what the fantasy is, but why and how and what the root of the fantasy really is. It was in the process of asking those questions that I understood it wasn't really about, I just want a big, strong man that I can call daddy, right? It was the idea that I actually enjoy the aspect of having my romantic partner be like an authority figure in my life. Because I don't want to disappoint you, similar to how you wouldn't you would be a daughter that didn't want to disappoint their father. And what I realized is, as strange as this is going to sound, a lot of those women that felt that way towards me and about me and our relationship tended to not have an authoritative father figure for a majority or for a lot of their lives. And their desire to have that type of relationship with a man that's an authority figure or a father figure was now projected onto me, even in our romantic relationship. Okay, I know this is like going like off the deep end, right? But these are part of the things that you discover when you start asking those questions and understanding what it is that makes each individual person tick. Now, obviously, these are the specific people. For everyone, it's going to be slightly different. Not everyone is going to be exactly like that, right? Everyone can be a totally different thing, right? Remember, I said that fantastical element, those KINKSs are like a fingerprint. They're unique to you and your own experiences. So in the process of understanding people and learning about men specifically, and learning about why they fall in love, I want you to understand how important this side of how and why men become so emotionally invested in you that they become obsessed with you and fall head over heels in love with you, how this actually applies, and how it's way more than just the aspect of blood flow to the lower extremities and a release. But only when you get that deep will you understand how deep the rabbit hole really goes. See, the problem is some of you are jumping so fast into pineapples, you're not even understanding the depth to which everything else associated around and with pineapples is happening, especially with the person that you're with. Right? Danny P says, whenever I asked, it seemed like they were scared to share too much. This is the thing. See, whenever someone is afraid to share with you something about themselves, that's when you know you're actually getting somewhere. Everything that people, they just openly, they're like an open book. They're ready to talk to you about it for hours and ages. They would stand in front of a crowd and talk about it. They would stand in front of their mom and talk about it. They'll just yap about it. While that's great, that really doesn't get you into knowing the real human being, right? And the moment you stumble across a topic, right, that they feel slightly uncomfortable to discuss, that's exactly where you want to be. And that's exactly where you want to spend a lot of time, because that's going to show you who the real person is. That's going to show you what they're really about. That's what's actually going to grow even their investment in you. And so some men even avoid this topic because they understand that's an investment in you to share with you these deep, dark sides of myself. And I'm going to be attached to you if I trust you with this information about myself. I can trust you with information like knowing my birthday, like knowing my shoe size and things like that. That doesn't matter to me. But trusting you with these deep, dark fantasies that I would never discuss with anyone else, that's investment. That's specifically emotional investment. If I become more emotionally invested in you, it's going to become very difficult to detach myself from you. And so some people are hesitant, right, to share these things with you because of the amount of emotional investment you're going to have to put into someone that you're sharing these topics with. But that's good for you because you want men to be emotionally invested in you. Because once they're emotionally invested in you, now their only options become, okay, I actually have to treat this relationship the right way. I actually have to treat this woman the right way, because if she walks away from me, she's taking all of that investment that I've put in her with her. Right? Okay? I can't repeat some of the things you guys are saying in the chat, but I see them, okay? Kelly says, so what does it mean when he wants to be dominated and take it from the back? Well, so this is part of the things that you begin exploring more. So even if you're like, I don't know if I would do that, I don't know if that would be my style, you still explore the idea, not necessarily doing it, but you try to understand what it is that he enjoys of it and why it is he enjoys that thing. And trust me, I promise you, as you ask questions and more questions and more questions, you will eventually stumble across the reality and the reasoning to why this thing is the way that it is and how it reflects in their everyday life. I'll give you another example. in my process of better understanding people and asking them these questions, trying to understand the fantasies and the KINKSs and things like that. You guys know I love to ask questions. I've come to the realization that another one of the common, I wouldn't say common, but another one of the ones that I've seen a lot, connections that I've made, is that generally the women, I know this is getting a little bit PG, or sorry, this is getting a little bit R-rated. I've noticed that a lot of the women who deeply desire to be dominated, right? And to be like, I'm not just talking about regular, I'm talking about extreme domination. They want to have no decisions. They want to have no control. They just want to be absolutely dominated. I've noticed that a lot of those women tend to have a lot of responsibility in their everyday life. And because they have so much responsibility, whether it be they have subordinates, they're a boss, they're high up in a company, they got to tell people what to do all the time, they got to make a lot of decisions. Because they have to do that in their everyday life, they tend to want the opposite in relation to their fantasies and their KINKSs. And so there's a contrast because it's very stressful to have to do that all the time. And so in their love life, their intimacy life, they want to be able to let go of that stress. Okay. I'm just giving you an example of how, as you begin to ask more questions, you'll begin to understand how these things connect. And it won't just be about fulfilling their fantasy, but it will be about understanding how that fantasy ties into their life and the person that they are. And then you begin to realize how you can better serve them uniquely for them. Okay? Because think about the example that I just gave. If I understand that one of the things you enjoy the most is being able to let go of making decisions because of how much you do that in your work life or your everyday life, now I can start thinking, okay, so that doesn't just apply in the bedroom, but that can also apply in our relationship. So that means you would probably naturally want me to make more decisions and take more control, then you can turn your brain off and relax. Okay, you see how you'll begin to make connections that aren't even related to necessarily pineapples. And those connections that you make will give you a deeper understanding of the person and how you can uniquely serve them that makes them even more invested in you. Okay, I know that was a really long-winded explanation, but it's such a in-depth topic that I want you to better be able to grasp it in the way that it's actually meant to be and the way it actually is for the men, especially. Oh my God, I just spilled that water all over me. Okay? Does that make sense? Shelly Anna says, how do you ask without seeming like you are fast and open to pineapples? Well, here's the thing. This is where you have to have a balance, right? You want to allow the relationship to naturally escalate because, yes, it would be inappropriate to talk about this on the first date. I wouldn't advise you to start talking about this on the first date. But as the relationship becomes more serious, you want to also be escalating your depth and knowledge of the human being. So it's not something where I can just say, okay, on the third date, bring this up. Just allow it to be a natural occurrence in the process of getting to know someone deeper. So my answer to you is don't jump right into it, but definitely be focused on having an understanding of this and growing in these conversations and having more in-depth conversations about these things. And you can actually do two things at once. You can stand your ground about not giving up pineapples and not being here to just jump right into things, while also being like, I am interested in you. Doesn't mean I'm not interested in you and that I don't want to talk about this or I'm not interested in how you feel about this. Right? Without necessarily jumping right into it. Now, I will say this takes some self-control because you actually have to be focused on extracting the information rather than just jumping right into having pineapples. Okay. But once you get the hang of it, if you get the hang of it, you'll be able to understand, okay, this is actually about me getting to know you better, not just about us, having dirty talk. Okay, there's a difference between having dirty talk and trying to understand someone's fantasies and how they play a role in their life and who they are as a person. And you can do that in a way that still keeps you classy, where you still stand your ground, where you still stand your boundaries, because at the end of the day, not the only thing he will actually consider in terms of you being a fun girl is your actions. You gotta understand what I'm saying? So when you give away Squirtle, that's the only time you've given away Squirtle. Until then, you haven't given away Squirtle. So if you stay strong, but you're still interesting and captivating, all he's gonna think about is, damn, I really find her interesting and captivating, but she still has stood her ground. That still takes discipline, and he will still respect you for standing your ground. Okay? So don't be so scared that if you bring it up, that he won't think that you're a womanly figure. Right? Because remember, this isn't really about, and the same thing applies. This isn't really about sharing a whole bunch about yourself. Okay. This is really more about asking him more about him, getting a better understanding about him and what he wants and what he finds interesting and what he finds desirable, that you can be jotting this down and continue having more and more information. Excuse me. Okay. Kelly asked, should I boss him around in public or private? That's all depending on what he desires, if he's even into that. Some guys aren't into that. Okay. Amy says, what if then you, once you do it, it's all he wants to talk about and thoughts on photos, etc. This is why I said you got to ease into it, right? And you don't want it to make it about just regular dirty talk. Okay. That's not what you're trying to do. You're not trying to go back and forth having dirty talk with him. That's not what you're doing. You're trying to understand what it is he finds interesting and why he finds those things interesting. So it's really more you asking the questions and him doing all the talking. Okay, not him saying, oh, I want to do this to you. I want to do that to you. I know this sounds like it makes no sense to some of you who maybe have never experienced this before, but if you try it, you'll understand the difference and you'll understand how to get the hang of it. Okay. And it's something, like I said before, that you ease into. You don't jump into it on the first, second, or third date. Okay. You ease into it and allow it to develop naturally as you get to know someone better. Because as a relationship becomes more and more serious, obviously things are going to become more and more intimate. Doesn't mean you have to jump into pineapples, but you allow the intimacy to grow and the conversation to gain more and more depth. So don't just be talking about regular, boring old stuff. Okay. Be talking about the real in-depth stuff. Okay. He is a responsible and protective figure in his family. Should I be like his mommy, kind of? Well, Sahar, see, the thing is, I can't tell you what you should do for that guy, because remember, these fantasies are all specific to each individual man and each individual man's experience in life. So you actually have to ask him those questions and ease that conversation in and getting an understanding of what he likes, what he enjoys. Okay. A really good start for those of you who are like, where do I start? Let's say you're in actually building a serious relationship with a guy and you're like, where do I start? I don't even know where to start. I would advise you, and don't be doing this over text. Do this in person. Don't even do this over the phone. None of what I'm talking about here with this fantasy element, don't be doing none of this over the phone. All of this should be happening in person. I would advise you to ask him to show you what type of pineapple videos he watches. Okay? And I'm talking about, tell him to show you the real stuff, not the PC stuff. Tell him to show you the real type of pineapple videos he watches, like actually show you the video. Okay? Not at the very beginning of your relationship. I'm talking about as it gets more serious. The reason I say that is because that will show you what he's actually into. At least it'll give you a much better idea. Okay? You guys should know what I mean when I say pineapple videos. Okay? Right? Shellyana says, I notice letting some men talk most. The moment I have 2 cents, they have horrible listening skills and don't care. That's the thing, Shellyana, is that you have to understand at the beginning of your relationships, you're just trying to get an understanding of, should I be investing my time and energy into you? So actually, the more you let them talk, the better it is for you, because you get to gather more and more information. You're not really concerned about investing yourself into people who you're not even planning to build a real long-term relationship with, because they're not the person you're looking for. You're only concerned with deciphering who the men you're actually looking to spend your time and energy on are versus the men who are a waste of your time and energy. And the more they talk, the more they share, the more information you have to make a decision on that. So if they're talking constantly and you're just, everything you're hearing is not what you want in a partner or relationship, well, that's good for you. Now it makes it easier to make that decision. Right? Okay. Ivy says, what if our fantasies will scare them off? Well, so this isn't really about sharing your, I know I say make it about him. It's not really this technique. And when I talk about how men fall in love, it's not really about you sharing your fantasies with him to get him interested in you. It's about him sharing his fantasies with you, you having a deeper understanding of that you can use that against him, but also that he will be more emotionally invested in you, because of how close to his heart those things are. And that's why I said it's one of the biggest misconceptions and lies, because when people think of fantasies and KI and KSs, they think it's all about the lower extremities and the release, and it serves no purpose in love or desire or their ability to be invested in you at all. And I'm here to tell you that it does. And if you can do it the right way, you can really have your grip on men. Any man, really any human being, but men. Right? Ivy says, oh, I forgot. It's all about him. Okay. I know you guys want to get your chance to share and talk and all that good stuff. I just want you guys to understand it's not necessary for you to share with people that you're not going to end up with. So if you're actually in a relationship with that man and you're actually serious and you guys are dating, now you can kind of let go of let your walls down. And as it gets more serious, you can kind of actually be sharing with yourself. The reason I say make it about him is because I don't want you guys to get into the habit of jumping in a relationship. Yap, talk. And you feel good about sharing. Meanwhile, he's sitting back, relaxing. And then you think that the relationship is deeper than it actually is. You give him some squirtle and then you realize it's not actually that deep of a relationship. Okay. That's why I always say, make it about them, that you can be observing and making good decisions. Right. Shelly Anna says, I've been turned off after gathering the info, and helps us in the next phase to start ignoring them. Very true. Very true. I mean, the more info you gather, the better decision you can make. Right. Right. Sahar says, what if it's the beginning of the relationship? What should I ask? If it's the very beginning, like you've been on only a couple of dates, I would advise you to not be trying to go super deep into this yet. Save that for when you're really like a couple months in. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and I'm talking a couple months, like seeing each other regularly and things are beginning to escalate. I don't think this is something you necessarily need to jump into right away, especially if you're building a real relationship with this person. They're not running away from you. I just want you to understand this is a really interesting part of the process that you can utilize to get a man even more invested in you. Okay. Right. Chisholm says, so as women, we need to receive the information he has to give and discern if this is what you need as a woman. 100%. Chisholm, that is exactly what you do. You receive, you sit back, you relax, you receive, you observe, you listen. And then you get to, because at the end of the day, you're even in the physical aspect, you're receiving him inside of you, right? And so that is a very pivotal and important decision that you're going to be faced with every guy that you begin dating. Is the ultimate decision of, am I going to be receiving myself, receiving you inside me, right? Because once that's done, that whatever trauma he has, whatever energy he has, that's inside you now forever, okay? And so that is a very important decision weighing on your shoulders every time you date a man. So you want to be focused throughout that process on gathering as much information as you possibly can about him, that by the time you get to making that decision, you're making an informed decision rather than making a decision based about what you think the relationship might be, what you think he might be like, what you want him to be like, right? You can actually make a decision based on who he actually is and what you actually know. Right? Someone says, what is the right balance in terms of reaching out between men and women? I would say for you women, don't reach out. I know it sounds crazy. I would honestly say only use your phone as a scheduling tool, meaning only use it to organize the next time he's going to see you in person. And I would do your best to try, at least for the men that you're trying to be romantic with, I would try your best to be unavailable over call, text, or FaceTime. I just be unavailable in every aspect that is not seeing me in person. Why? Because when you only give him the option to see you in person in order to get access to you, in order to speak to you, in order to hear from you, what ends up being the only thing he can do is schedule an in-person meeting with you, i.e. a date. You see, when you give men no options except for one, he only has one decision to make. So if he's interested in you, there's only one direction to go in. You make it very easy for him that way. When you give him the option to text you 24/7, hear from you on the phone 24/7, FaceTime you 24/7, what happens is the men also get tricked into feeling like they're being able to have access to you and talk to you and speak to you over the phone. And they lose that desire and hunger to actually put in more effort of scheduling a date with you, of seeing you in person, of going out with you, of spending real in-person quality time with you, because they feel like they're already getting to know you and spending that time with you over the phone, right? And I know for a lot of you, you guys are going through that either right now or have been through that before. Right? Men become so obsessed with the phone or so complacent because of the phone that they don't even feel the need to put in the effort to say, hey, when can I see you? Let's go here. Let's do this. Let's go out on a date. Right? And then you sit at home and you're frustrated because you're like, how come I can't get guys to actually want to go out on a date with me? How come the most they can say is come over to my place and let's watch Netflix? That's part of the reason. Right? Give them only one option to get out access to you, which is by seeing you and scheduling time with you in a high quality date, right? Or hangout. Then the men that are interested in you, they will only have that one option to make. Very simple. Very, very simple. Right? Rael says, these are all great points, but exhausting at the same time. See, this is the thing. As we have more and more conversation, you'll become more and more understanding of the key elements, right? And why they're important. And you'll start to realize how they kind of all tie together. And it'll kind of become easier as time goes on to just understand the gist of what you're supposed to be doing. When I say receiving, when I say sit back, relax, let him come to you, let him tell you what he wants, let him show you that he wants to be with you, right? You'll just become more understanding of those concepts over time, which is why the show is the show, and why we talk about relationships all the time, that you can continuously soak up this information. Because as you apply it little by little and you see it working and you see things shifting and changing in your love life, you'll understand how to continuously go about this. And it won't be very hard. Because remember, even in your position, you don't have to do the pursuing. You don't have to do the chasing. You don't have to do the hunting. You don't have to do anything but sit back, listen, observe, receive, take notes. And then you only have to make a decision when it comes time to deciding if you want to actually invest in this guy or not. And so that's the amazing part, is you don't have to actually make it hard. All you have to do is ask the right questions and sit back and listen and enjoy the show and observe what he has to say. And then from there, it's about making a good decision based on the information that you have. All right. So let's hop into the Discord. I wanted to answer some of your guys' questions before we hopped into the Discord. We have a ton of questions in the Discord, so I want to get to that right now. It's Discord time. It's Discord time. It's Discord time. It's Discord time. Okay, it's Discord time. Let's hop into the Discord right now and let's answer some of these amazing questions we got in the Discord. Okay, so first here we have, let's see who we have here first. Oh, this is, let's see here. Let's go over to our relationship advice section. First, we have Laura. Okay, Laura says, oh my goodness, Laura's got a big one. Laura's got a big one. Laura, let me just set this up the right way. Okay, Laura says, so I've been going out to this cafe every Saturday since October. And sometimes I would stay late and talk to the manager, 22-year-old male. He would start making actual jokes, but I never knew if he was serious. I also learned he never had pineapples before. Uh, I have. He's 22. Okay. And he told me that he was scared to do it because it's too intimate. One day I asked if he was serious and he said yes. Excuse me. Long story short, we ended up making making out. Okay. This is your manager? Oh, stay. Okay, sorry. This is the manager of the cafe. So one long story short, we ended up making out afterwards around early December. I thought it would have happened again the week afterwards, or sorry, the week after, but it didn't. He did, however, start giving me free coffees ever since. After 4 months of nothing happening, we never even discussed it. It's as if it never happened. I gave up. The day I gave up, I still went and it was closing time. The busboy told me they were going to a bar and asked me to join, and I agreed. Somehow we started talking about pineapples, and I guess that topic got him feeling some way because I started playing footsie, because he started playing footsie with me while his coworker was talking to me. I went to the bathroom before we left, and he texted me asking if I wanted to meet up after he dropped off his coworker, and I said sure. We ended up having pineapples in my car. Wow, that was his first time. He was so nervous, and during it, he kept going soft, but it was still fun. At one point, I was just sitting on him, and he was like, "You're so attractive." We started joking. So the rated R stuff stopped, and then we trauma dumped a little. I texted him when I got home asking if he was okay since he lost his V card, and he said yeah. A week after, I texted him saying I had fun if he wanted to do it again, and he answered, "I'll have to see." That's embarrassing. Uh I still go every week and he still gives me free coffee. Okay, that's good. Still likes my stories and talks to me normally. The "I'll have to see" was a poopy answer. Maybe he regrets losing his V card, like he was feeling it in the moment but wasn't ready finally. Maybe he's ashamed that he couldn't perform, or maybe he really doesn't want to do it again. But why not say that? Why do you think he said "I'll have to see"? Okay. Oh, this part too as well. This Saturday that just passed, there was no tables left for me to sit. So he went in the back and got a whole table for me. I stayed afterwards to talk with him and another coworker. He ended up telling me this story about his old manager, about how his old manager was trying to get him to talk to a girl and was pushing him towards her. He decided to demonstrate the pushing on me. He was kind of standing behind me on the table and put his hand on my back and pushed me. Sorry, I'm just trying to picture the scenario. Do you think he did it to touch me on purpose or just telling a story? Okay. Thank you, Laura, for the detailed question. Okay, I think this is a very interesting situation for you to be in, Laura. I think from your perspective here, being with a guy who is 22 and still a virgin, there's nothing wrong with that. But it probably means he's more than likely on the shy side. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? More than likely on the shy side, more than likely an introvert. Guys like that they're just a bit awkward. I don't really know what you're wanting from this situation, because while he might be a virgin, I mean, you're just a girl who comes to the coffee shop that he ended up sleeping with. What do you want? How do you want him to view you? I don't understand, Laura. Like, I understand like he's, new to this stuff, but the idea of how men respond to things is still the same whether or not he's newly into this stuff or he's an expert. Like, you go to his cafe, and yeah, cool, you guys have conversation and stuff like that, but to just jump right into it without him even saying, yo, I actually want to get to know you, I want to spend time with you, can I take you out on a date, can we go out this place, can we go out? Like, let him show you his intention to want to build something with you before you offer him anything. You just kind of offered him fun for the sake of offering him fun because he was inexperienced. But like, that doesn't change the fact that you just offered him free fun without him even showing you that he intended to try and build something with you. And so you end up looking like the fun girl all the same, even though he's, new to this. Like, I just don't get what do you expect him to see you as, in terms of how you're representing yourself? You understand? Like, I get you say you guys trauma dumped a little bit after pineapples, but that's too little too late. I just think that to go from coffee shop to he invited you one time out with his coworkers, and after he dropped off his coworkers, he sees you, and then you guys have pineapples. So there was never any real date. So, I joke around with some people about you're giving Squirtle away on the first date. You're giving Squirtle away on date 0. On date -1, you're giving Squirtle away before he can even have the wherewithal to ask you out on a date. You've already given away Squirtle. So this is all bad. Like, I don't understand what like this is. He's not going to want to build a relationship with you after that. You've already given him what he wanted. He might want to explore you and just have fun with you because, he's new to this stuff, and you're someone who, gave him what he wanted, I guess, or the thing that he would never experience before. So I guess you have that over him, but like, I don't think he's going to have the desire or hunger to build a relationship with you. Now, as it relates to you asking why he stood behind you, I mean, it could be for many reasons. It could be because he wanted to touch you as an excuse to touch you. It could also be because he was telling the story and it was a great excuse to touch you. Like, it can be two things. Two things can be true at once. But I don't think that either of those answers changes the fact that I don't think he's going to be truly invested in building a relationship with you. Now, Laura, if you just wanted fun yourself, then that's a whole different story, right? I think that if he lost his V card to you, I'm sure he'll be back to get some more, especially after doing it the first time. He's going to be more curious and things like that now that he's broken the seal. So I'm sure he'll be back for that if that's what you're only interested in. If you're interested in building a relationship, I think you went about this all wrong. All wrong. Okay? Because like I said, you gave it to him on date 0. I don't care if you went in for 3 years into the cafe. He's working at that cafe getting paid. Don't get fooled by having a conversation with someone who's getting paid to be there. Some of you guys be making that mistake. It's like the guys that you fall in love with the bartender or the stripper because they think the bartender or the stripper is really interested in them, when the bartender or the stripper is getting paid to talk to them. Okay? So same thing for you, Laura. Don't be confused that because you come into this cafe. Now, I'm not saying you can't build a relationship with someone while they're working, but just don't be confused that he's truly deeply invested and interested in you just because you come to the cafe he was already working at, that he's getting paid at, and he has conversations with you while he's getting paid. That's not the same amount of investment as him saying, I want to take you out on a date and pay for the date because I like you so much. Those are two totally different things, and you need to be aware of that. Okay? Because I think you kind of tricked yourself into thinking that he was super invested in you because he had a conversation with you while he was getting paid. So in total, he spent a total, because you said it was after this coffee shop, right? He was giving you free coffees. Yeah, they're free to you. He doesn't pay for those coffees though, so don't misunderstand that. But basically, the couple hours he spent going to a bar with you and his coworkers was the only time he spent talking to you and not getting paid for it. And you still gave him Squirtle. Someone said earlier he got laid and he got paid. Precisely. So that was a mistake. So I think that if you want to correct this, you really have to pull all the way back, and you got to reevaluate where this thing is going. I think you made a couple of bad decisions if you're trying to build this into a relationship. If you're not, though, and you're just curious what he wants, I think he just wants fun, truthfully. Okay, that was Laura's. Next, we got so much to do. Oh, this is Mars. I think this is a continuation. Okay. Weird work situation. Okay, this is Gorilla Grip Poochie. Okay, so let's answer Gorilla Grip Poochie's question here. So Gorilla Grip Poochie, Gorilla Grip Coochie, Gorilla Grip Coochie. Says, Tomisin, I'm a 21-year-old female. You're 21 and you know you have Gorilla Grip Coochie? Interesting. Our subject is a 24-year-old male. So you're probably going to side-eye me for this. I already know where this is going. But I was pretty active on Hinge about a year ago. Was your username on Hinge Gorilla Grip Coochie there too? Between like 9 and 10 months to a year. He liked my prompt. Oh my God. I matched, we exchanged numbers, but I ghosted. So it didn't get any further than that. I am about to begin school soon for maturity science. I don't know what that is. Someone in the chat tell me what maturity science is. I'm not sure what that type of science that is. And I was looking for a job to help me pay for my classes and build a financial profile. I eventually found a great job that served its purpose. However, I haven't been there long before I discovered dude works at this job. Maybe about like a month or two, one day he just casually walked in and said hi to me and started working. Come to find out, he's a shift manager there, and I was just on vacation for his birthday. And was just on vacation for his birthday. This guy checks off everything on my list physically and seems driven and cares about the job. However, we still haven't exchanged any actual conversation at this point yet, besides him introducing himself. The day I found out we'd be working together, I was in denial for like 2 days. That's actually pretty funny. Part two, unfortunately, he was the only manager that worked the same shift as me, which meant he was the one who had to train me on the job. Ideally, this was something I looked forward to, since this was an opportunity to let him be smart and manly, make him feel useful by teaching me things I don't know. But another side of me remembered how embarrassing it is to be a new employee because of how dizzy. I think you meant say you said ditzy. Sorry, it's far away the words. Ditzy and naive you seem. Fast forward our conversation. To our first conversation. One day we were on break and began as an icebreaker. Pull this closer here. Sorry, let me just pull this closer, guys. Okay. One day we were on break. I lost my place. And icebreaker type questions. I kept it simple, but I knew how deep down I wanted to confront him. I just didn't want to immediately throw it in his face. My denial slowly faded after I got familiar with the job, and eventually told him he looked familiar and asked if he had Hinge. Oh, mistake. And he explained, after working together and getting to know each other more, I really enjoyed observing him and how he trains me at work. Gorilla Grip Coochie. No one's nicer to a girl than a dude who hasn't slept with her yet. Me and our coworkers were talking about cities and places, and he described where he lived. I told him the area where I lived, and it turns out he lives right down the street from me. You met him on Hinge, so it's got to be proximity. It's strange because my job isn't just a local casual job. It's an hour and a half to 40 minutes away for us both, and it's a very specific position. So for us to work at the same job in the same area and just so happen to meet was very weird. Okay. Part two. Nonetheless, he explained to me how his car broke down. Oh, his car broke down. Huh? His car broke down while he was working and he needed a ride home. Okay, Gorilla Grip. Let's see where this goes. Sharing work transportation has never been an issue for me because we've all been there once. As a teenager, I know what's it's like to need a ride and not have one. Plus, he's literally like 10 minutes from me. I gave him a ride. We talked. He asked me more questions about myself, and I guess that's when he remembered who I was. Mind you, we're about 2 to 3 months into knowing each other. At this point, I'm enjoying the job. No special treatment has been given, no flirting, messing around, no pineapples, or hanging out outside of work. About a few weeks to a month after that, he ended up getting a car. My thoughts are now that I am aware he has a car and is capable, there is no excuse to why he can't take me out. Okay. I didn't say that to him. I just kept it in the back of my mind. He told me how he was celebrating his friend's birthday and wanted me to come. So I came. I didn't know how I didn't know the address he sent me would be his house. So yes, I essentially ended up at his house. I was under the impression that I would be driving to his friend's house, celebrating and leaving. But I confronted him about this miscommunication. I didn't make it a big deal though. This is quite long. He has started to hit me with the come over text more, okay? And as a former sneaky link warrior, I'm sure you are with your Gorilla Grip Coochie, okay? As a former sneaky link warrior, I am working to change my ways. You're only 21. Wow. I've already started. I've already stated to him that I'm not a come over girl. Okay, Gorilla Grip Coochie. And suggested he planned an outing for us. So I politely declined. Another day, he called me and told me he wanted to do breakfast before his retwist appointment. Oh, he black. Interesting. We were both off that day, and I accepted. I was over at his house because he was supposed to be driving. Left to get his hair done because our date and appointment ended up overlapping. Our date and his appointment ended up overlapping. I went back home. He never came to get me, but texted me the next day asking me to come over again. I made it seem like I was going to come over by texting him back saying, yeah, I'm on the way, and went to bed. Went to work the next day, and that day, I went to work, and that was the day you explained how texting can ruin desire. So I decided to ignore his text and only speak to him at work. I'm going to pull this up for you guys. At this point, I'm feeling stupid because what did I do to give him the impression that I was stupid like that? My second question is, how can I get him to see me as a person and not DoorDash? I also have struggled with getting men to talk to me on dates, even with all the limited access and scarcity. Okay, Gorilla Grip Coochie, great question you asked there. Lots of interesting stuff to discuss here. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's dive a little bit deeper. Okay, so I think that right now you're in a position where this is part of the other thing that I always talk to you guys about. Let guys cook. If this guy liked you on Hinge a couple months ago, clearly he finds you attractive. You've already passed that test, quote unquote. He works with you. He knows of your existence. Like, he knows where to find you. He knows how to reach you. He knows where to talk to you. If he's attracted to you and he's had some interest in you, don't ruin it by being all bent out of shape now because you want him. Let him cook. You're not running away from the job. You just started and he's been there. You guys will have lots of time to have conversations and discussions. He'll have lots of opportunities to come up to you and strike a conversation and let you know and invite you places and all these beautiful, amazing things. Let him cook and show you how he's going to be intentional about you and how he wants you. Don't be so bent out of shape trying to press these things because now you realize you work with the guy and he lives close to you and everything is so perfect that you're trying to make this work instantly. Okay, you just started this job. Well, it's a couple months in now, but like in the big scheme of things, like you just got there. Okay, so take a chill pill. If he likes you and he's interested in you, he will let you know that. And he knows where to find you. So if he's interested in you, he will reach out to you. He'll text you, he'll call you, he'll ask you to go out on a date. Okay. Now, my second piece of advice to you is if he's going to try to squeeze you in, as in like a last minute thing, or like, oh, I'm about to go get my hair retwisted. You want to hang out for the hour in between I get my hair retwisted and I do something else, say no. Okay. Only say yes to him inviting you out to a scheduled appointment where the time is blocked off specifically for you and him to spend time with each other. That's how you know in your own mind that he is being intentional about the situation and about dating you and seeing you. Not that he's just trying to pass the time by that he has free by, hitting you up and doing some stuff with you. And then he goes back to doing what he actually cares about. You understand what I'm saying? Don't become, even though you guys work together, don't become this last minute girl where he, just because you guys work together, he texts you, oh, I'm free now, you want to hang out right now. Oh, I'm free in an hour, you want to hang out in an hour. And just because you like this guy, that you come over, even if you don't give pineapples, right? Don't let him get used to the idea that he can hit you up whenever, and that just because he works with you and he knows what your schedule is, that you don't have anything outside of him to do with your life. Okay? So be very cognizant and understanding of that if he's not scheduling you, you shouldn't be available to him, whether it be on the phone or over text. Okay. And even as it relates to work, I would honestly advise you, don't be going out of your way to try to talk to him. Don't be going out of your way to try to start a conversation with him. I know you like this guy, but once again, you need to let him cook. Regardless of whether he met you on Hinge and he knows that you're the girl he liked on it. Newsflash to you. He's liked hundreds of girls on Hinge. I know for you, you feel like you're the only girl he ever saw on Hinge and found attractive, but I'm here to tell you from a man's perspective, he has liked hundreds of girls on Hinge. He's liked their prompts, he's liked their pictures, he's messaged hundreds of girls on Hinge. You are not the first, and you probably won't be the last girl he will know from Hinge and like on Hinge. I'm not saying that to say you're not special or that, he shouldn't appreciate you. I just want you to understand you're putting so much onus on the fact that he met you on Hinge as if like, I don't understand why he's not head over heels in love with me after liking me on Hinge. Truthfully, he's liked you and a bunch of other girls on Hinge. And if it wasn't for you bringing it up, he probably wouldn't have really remembered that it was you from Hinge. Okay. So you're starting from scratch. Him liking you on Hinge doesn't actually mean anything. Be patient and allow him to cook. Don't get bent out of shape, because the more bent out of shape you get, the more, because I can already see, I can smell your anxiety through this message. That now, as now you find him attractive. Now you realize he's got a good job. Now you see he's well spoken. He's a leader. He acts how you want a guy to act and all this good stuff. Now the tables are turning from you ignoring him because you're like, who's this random guy from Hinge? To now you're thinking about, but why don't you want to go out on a date? But why don't you want to talk to me? Why don't you want to hang out more? Why don't you want to take me out? Why don't you, right? And you're going from the girl that this is why I say it's so powerful, your approach, because your approach can drastically turn the tables. Look at how you went from being the girl ignoring him. You matched with him and you ghosted him. You didn't even think twice about him. To now all of a sudden you're messaging me, asking me how you can get him more interested in you. Look at how the tables can turn so easily when you go from not being interested in a guy to being very interested in him, and how your approach drastically changed. This is not just for Gorilla Grip Coochie, but this is for all of you to understand what's happening to you when you begin to like a guy, and how that actually becomes a turn off and becomes unattractive. Because if she was still ignoring him or treating him like she was before, I guarantee you he'd probably be more interested in her. But because now she's realized all the different ways and reasons she likes this guy, now all of a sudden her approach is drastically changing and she's pushing forward instead and getting all bent out of shape. So Gorilla Grip Coochie, you need to chill, relax, Let him cook. If he's truly interested in you, he knows where to find you, and he will let you know when he wants to find you. Okay? Great username, by the way. I love that. Next we have S. So S asks, are there really, I'm a little bit out of the frame there. Let me stand up a little bit. S asks, are there really no good single men out there anymore? Okay. So S says, me, 42-year-old divorced mother of 4. Okay. 50-year-old divorced dad of 3. I'm an anesthetist. Anesthetist? Is it anesthetist? Anesthetist? Oh, anesthesiast at the hospital. Sorry, guys. I can read. I've never seen that. Anesthesiast at the hospital, and spend a lot of my time working with surgeons. Okay, so you make a lot of money. He's one of these surgeons, and I've known and worked with him for about 5 years now. In that time, we've become friendly, but never romantic, both married. Well, fast forward to now, both divorced and still pretty friendly. So friendly, in fact, he agreed to take my mom on as a patient. Isn't that a conflict of interest? I don't think you're supposed to be doing that. The first day I took her to see him at the clinic, he seemed taken aback when he saw me out of scrubs in regular clothes. What, you got that dumpy? You got that dump truck going on? You 42 with a dump truck? Okay. He obviously found me attractive because he turned into a blabbering mess while talking to me. He gave me his cell number. Damn, you must have that dump truck crazy. That dump truck must be crazy. He was falling all over himself at the end of the visit and insisted I text or call him anytime. That's crazy what that dumpy will do to him. Well, I texted him the next day to thank him for caring for my mom, and he proceeded to inform me of how good I looked. That your dump truck is crazy. You either got a crazy dump truck or some voluptuous yitties. He is mesmerized. Okay, this is actually comical. We've been texting back and forth since then, and he flirts with me when we do see each other at work. It's gotten to the point where I think he had one of these like realizations of how attractive you are. I'll get to this after we finish this. It got to the point where I had to ask him by text, unfortunately, if there was anything between. It was going so good, and then you had to ruin it. He said that he's crazy attracted to me, but recently has started dating someone else. He said he asked me out. He said he asked me out once, and that I ignored his question, so he got embarrassed and moved on. I honestly do not remember that happening. Could he be lying? He said he was hoping I'd still be there and want him if things don't work out with the other girl. Well, I'm not doing that, as you shouldn't. I know my worth and am moving on. However, he still texts me from time to time, telling me things are strained in his relationship. He texts me on my birthday and also on Mother's Day. I responded to him, but I have not reached out first since since I found out he's dating someone else. My question is, should I text him on Father's Day just as a courtesy, since he did the same to me, or should I pretend I forgot and just not do that? Also, if he does not come back once they break up, how exactly should I handle the situation? Okay, great question, S. Okay. First of all, S, you must have the most amazing dump truck or voluptuous yitties, because it's actually so funny how you were working with this guy for quite some time, and then all of a sudden he's seen you out of scrub clothes, and now all of a sudden he's talking about, yo, why didn't you tell me you look like that? Why didn't you tell me you was looking all over like you had that going on, right? That's pretty funny. But as it relates to this relationship, I think for you in your situation, you're in a very similar position to the women who are dating married men. The reason I say that is because I get a lot of questions from girls that are dating married men, and they ask, oh, well, why isn't he paying attention to me? How can I get him to take me serious? How can I get him to be invested in the relationship? How can I get him to want me and all this good stuff? And my answer to them is you're literally dating a man who has other responsibilities, and then you're expecting you to be his main priority. It doesn't make sense. You are kind of in a similar situation, because he is obviously in a relationship, but you're now invested in a man who obviously has other priorities, and then you're kind of frustrated that you're not the main priority when you're obviously not going to be the main priority when he has other priorities. And my whole thing with this type of situation is they're always going to tell you how things are just about to end or on the verge of collapse. This thing you said, he's telling you that things are strained in his relationship. Yeah, if you've ever watched my show or for a while and you've seen some of the other messages we get, guys always love to tell you that are in a relationship or are married how they're just about to get divorced or how bad their relationship is or how much things are not working out. You want to know why they love to tell you about that? Because they want to give you hope that it will be your time to shine very, very, very soon. And the more hope you have that it'll be your time to shine very soon, the easier it will be for him to convince you that you guys should sleep together or have pineapples or do some stuff together, because his old relationship, right, even though it's still his current relationship, is just about to end. And it's basically over. It's just not officially over. And that hope that you feel for the fact that, oh, this relationship will be over very soon and we'll be able to be together is what will motivate you into giving yourself to him, despite the fact he's obviously still in a relationship. Then what happens, this is the natural progression of things, is after a period of time, you'll realize that after you give yourself to him and have pineapples with him, the relationship doesn't end, it continues on. And you're sitting there wondering why it hasn't ended, even though you were supposed to be with him at this point now. The truth is, it's all just a facade to give you hope and get you emotional. Remember, we always talk about that, into making an irrational decision, because an irrational decision would be trying to build a relationship with a man who's already in a relationship. Okay. So my advice to you, S, is to actually take a step back. Why are you wishing Happy Father's Day to a man who is in another romantic relationship when you know you want to be in a romantic relationship with that man? What purpose is it actually serving you? Truthfully, you're not building a relationship with this man, so why are you bothering to wish him a Happy Father's Day? If this is your coworker, leave it as that, your coworker. You don't wish all your coworkers Happy Father's Day. No need to be doing it with this man. He's in a whole nother relationship. If in the next couple of months or in a year's time, he ends his relationship, he's single and wants to re-explore you and the potential of your relationship with you, then and only then it is the appropriate time to do that. Until then, he should not see or hear from you unless he is on the same floor or on the same shift as you. At which point, even hearing from you at that point should only be in a professional manner. You should not be entertaining him. You should not be entertaining the idea of dates. You shouldn't be calling him. You shouldn't be on the phone with him. You shouldn't even be texting him. You don't need to. You only work with him. Okay? Until he makes the decision that he's going to end his relationship, that is the only time he gets access to you. Because another news flash to all of you, men don't actually value women that will sit on the sidelines and allow themselves to be treated as a second-class citizen. So if you accept this second place trophy of being his side girl while things are tough in his relationship, he won't actually respect you. Because a woman who actually saw her own value would never sit on the sidelines while a man waits to end his other relationship or goes on in his other relationship until he's ready to be with you. When a girl who actually has value would know there's thousands of men begging to be with me and do anything for me. Why would I sit around when you're not ready and you have a whole nother girlfriend? It doesn't make sense, right? So they never end up respecting you in that scenario anyways. So it's a waste of your time to be trying to build a relationship with a man out of hope when all they use that hope for is to trick you into giving him pineapples. Okay. So I'm gonna end that there. I don't want to go too long today, and I want to um make sure I can get to some of these tomorrow as well. So if you have a question for me and you want it to be answered in the Discord and you want it to be talked about, you want us to have a conversation about it, please feel free to ask your question in the Discord. You just have to go down into the link in the description if you're on YouTube, and then go into the link in my bio if you're on TikTok, okay? And we can do that as well, okay? Lucky Me says answer IG questions. The only reason I like to make it on Discord, that way everyone knows it's a public platform. IG, some people might message me on IG and thinking it's private one-on-one and, you know, expose information that they didn't want to expose. Discord is good because everyone's aware that it's public and it, you know, they're okay with me sharing it. So I like to filter it like that. Okay, but if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can. It's right above my head on the top right of the screen there. If you're on TikTok, for those of you on YouTube, it's right on the bottom over there. You can see what my Instagram is if you want to follow me and see everything I'm doing and, you know, us become best friends and all that good stuff. If you want to see the show, you're on TikTok, you're like, oh my God, this is the most amazing show I've ever seen. I can't believe this is even real. I can't believe that anything happened like this before. You can go and rewatch this live stream in its entirety as soon as we end here. Or you can watch all the other live streams I've done in the past up until this point. This is a new setup, so the old live streams, you're going to see something different. But you can go back and watch all of that beautiful information and have that at your disposal and be aware of everything we talk about, because this is like a family, okay? So if you're not inside on all the jokes and how we talk and how we discuss here, you're going to feel very out of place. So I would advise you to go and watch all the previous live streams as well, okay? So I'm here every day. If you want to catch me live on time, I'll be on time. I'm here every day at 4 p.m. Eastern time on every weekday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So whatever time that is in your time zone, that is what you need to be planning for in order to catch me live. Just in case, turn on my notifications, whether you're on TikTok or YouTube, all of them, so that you can get the notification whenever I go live. Okay. I love you guys so much. And we will join each other once again tomorrow on Thursday, where we have amazing conversation. Until then, see you later. Sayonara. Have a great rest of your day, afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. And I will talk to you.